Hey guys, welcome back to our weekly live event where we talk about finance, real estate investing, and retirement planning. This week's topic, we're going to talk about why excess unemployment is actually hurtful to the economy. So we were going to go into detail of why having excess unemployment will actually hold back the recovery and keep us from moving forward to getting back to our lives how it was prior to the coronavirus and prior to the economic meltdown. So good to see everybody again. Hope everyone had a great and safe week. If you have any questions, what we're going to do is we're going to answer all the questions that are on YouTube Live first. Then we're going to answer the requests on IG to go live on IG second. Questions that are in the question section of IG third. And then lastly, the comments in the DMs. So it's kind of difficult to answer everything at one shot. So just make sure to try to put your questions through YouTube and through going live on IG, and we'll be able to get to everybody's question. So good to see everybody again. Again, this week's topic, again, to see the board, it comes up backwards on IG, but on YouTube, it comes up normal. Also, the video quality and the audio quality is better on YouTube. So for those that want to get a little deeper dive. When the video is over, everything is going to be saved onto YouTube, so you can go on there and check out the video. So why excess unemployment is hurtful to the economy? So we're going to go into here now and kind of just give an idea of more of like the macro picture. So right now, what we're seeing is that the in the economy right now, one second. All right. So what we're noticing now in the economy is that when people are collecting unemployment, their unemployment benefits sometimes are actually greater than what they were currently making. So there is some people that are in a better position that have more money now than they did prior to the market going down. So now, how could that be a negative thing? That in itself is not a negative thing, right? We want everyone that cannot work to receive unemployment benefits so they can keep on paying their bills. And in doing so, we're going to keep our economy moving. If we have a problem, and the problem being that people choose not to go back to work. If people choose not to go back to work, those employers so let me give you a little bit of background. Some people have said that they're going to choose not to go back to work and to stay at home and collect unemployment. Some people are deciding to stay home and collect unemployment until the unemployment runs out, and then they plan to go back to work, even if they do have the opportunity to go back to work. Why that's going to be hurtful is, one, they're not really doing anything productive to society, yet their expense is going to be added to national debt. And obviously, that's going to make it harder for everybody else that wants to collect unemployment that needs to and cannot. Now, when that person chooses to stay home when they could go back and work, how does that hurt the economy? Well, not only are we paying for an individual that's not adding value to our economy, it's actually hurting the business that needs them to work. So when that business needs them to work, and because they don't have enough employees, so their output is, let's just say, the output is lower, right? When the output's lower, they're going to produce, the money they're going to bring in is going to be lower. So as the money they're bringing in is lower, they're not going to have enough income to cover their expenses, their fixed overhead expenses, because most businesses have rent and electric and all these expenses that are pretty fixed that they have to spend anyway. They have to spend that money. So they need the sales to be able to cover those expenses. So when the employee chooses not to go to work and doesn't come in and doesn't help the business produce what they need to be produced, that is going to accelerate the cause of these businesses to go out of business. A lot of small businesses are just going to shut down because they either can't make enough money to pay their bills because they don't have enough people to work to get the job done. So it's going to end up having small businesses shut down. Then the people on unemployment, once their 6 months are out and they're finally decide to go back to work, they'll realize there isn't any jobs, or there's a lot less jobs available because that business is now out. Many small businesses shut down. Now, they might blame the corona, and corona does have something to do with it. But part of what's going to help exasperate the problem is the fact that they are not choosing to work. So when they make that decision, it's going to be really hard for the economy to get back on its feet. So, and let's kind of take this back past the economy, and let's take it to your personal finances. If you find friends that are choosing to do that, the problem they're gonna experience is if they finally see, wow, I want to start saving money. Real estate's getting cheap. Stocks are getting cheap. I want to start buying these assets cheap, right? When they decide to start looking to buy their home or an investment property, and they want to go to the bank for a loan, they're going to realize, because they went on unemployment for so long, that when they go to apply for a loan, they're highly likely to be denied for the loan, since they don't have the ability to repay. There's a thing called an ability to repay. So when you do not have the ability to repay the loan, the bank won't give you the loan, even though you have the cash in your account to put the down payment. What they want to see is they want to see you working at the same job consistently, so they can have faith that you're going to be able to pay the mortgage every month for 5, 10 years, for however long you're going to have that mortgage for before you sell the property or refinance. So you must be considerate that just because you took the easy road initially by staying at home and collecting unemployment, and there's other people out there that stay at home, collect unemployment, and then decide to work and just not even document that income. So they're like, oh, look, I got all this extra cash. Why that doesn't work long term? I know a lot of people who did that, and people would say this is the smart way. And I said, no, I always showed all the money I made, because that income also doesn't matter, because you're not able to get a loan now. You cannot prove your income, so you can't get a loan. So maybe you have some cash, but you never can buy assets that can be purchased and that you can grow. So people will choose the easy way instead of the harder, more consistent way that ends up working out in the long term. So that is why, by choosing to stay on unemployment longer than necessary. Now, again, if you cannot find a job, you should be on unemployment. But if you can find a job, it is better for you to go and take that job, and for you to go and make the money and be able to show that income consistently on your tax return, so you'll be able to qualify for your first home or second investment property and so on, because that is necessary. Now, when you do choose the option of collecting the cash and then working a side job and not showing the income on your tax return, the problem you're going to run into is that now when you want to qualify for a loan, you also don't have tax returns to match the income that you're generating. So even though you can afford a bigger house, you can't qualify for the loan for that. So there's multiple ways, by being honest, going and get a job when you need it, and then 2, showing all your income so you can qualify for the loan. Because as I've been teaching you guys, the big money you're going to be making is from appreciation of your assets. And if you choose to work to make money, initially you need to do that, right? That's in Robert Kiyosaki's 4 quadrants. That is in the first quadrant, where you're working, you have side hustles, but you must show all your income and be able to consistently work so you can qualify for the loans and eventually work into the investor quadrant, so you can start having money work for you instead of you working for your money. Now, I've mentioned a lot of stuff. What I would like to do is have you guys ask some questions regarding this topic, so I can really dive deeper and to be able to, answer any questions you might have. Thanks for all the thumbs up, all the love. Hello. Hello. All right. Car is saying, nobody's working. It takes 25 minutes for me to get an Uber. Yeah, definitely it's possible. So again, Uber is also an acceptable source of income, right? You just need to be consistent about working for Uber as a side hustle, and you can put that on your tax return, and that can actually help you qualify for buying a home. All right. So next question here from Art says, what if I have no choice but be unemployed? My company is not renewing contracts for another 2 months because of COVID. If you have no other choice, then I understand. You do need to collect unemployment. This is not for the people who have no other choice. These are for the people who have the choice and are choosing not to go back to work. So definitely try to go back to work. And if you can't, then at this point, yes, do find a side hustle or do invest in your education and study. So because soon you're going to go back to work, you're probably going to be really busy and you're not going to have the time to study, say, a side hustle or study your rental market. You're going to need to spend the time now to invest in yourselves, to educate yourselves, because when you get busy, you're not going to have the time, or it's going to be more difficult to find the time. So Brett says, so I have already refinanced. To refinance again, I can barely pull money out of my residence. How do I make it work? Well, you only refinance when it makes sense. You don't just refinance just cause. So either you're going to pull equity out or you're going to lower your interest rate where it makes it you're saving money on the amount of interest you're paying. After you do the refinances, the next point which you're probably going to want to do is to get a home equity line of credit. That's another way to pull out extra income or extra source of money out of your home. Sam says, I have 30K cash, but no taxes paid on it. Can I buy a house? Unlikely, unless you are going to put down 30% and then you're going to get a high interest rate loan. That way you can buy a property. But again, it's a high interest rate loan. Until you can show proper income, you won't be able to refinance to a better loan, like a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loan. You must be able to prove your income. So file your taxes, file your income taxes, pay the tax due, or get a refund and be able to get more loans. Hugo says, when should I use a cash out refinance and a HELOC? Well, you want to use a cash out refinance where one, you'll be able to pull a lot of cash out of your property, and two, where you can lower your interest rate significantly where you're saving money each month. You want to get a HELOC normally right after you cash out refi. That doesn't mean you pull the money out of the HELOC. You just have it there in case you find a good opportunity to buy another property, you'll have the money available. Now, when the economy tanks, you should probably pull all the money out of your HELOCs and just sit on the money in your savings account. Because what happens often is the banks will shut down your line of credit and you were counting on using that money and that money is no longer available. So it's better to play it safe. If you're planning to use that money in the next year, you should probably just pull it out when you see things are getting a little sketchy. Sam says, what about paying someone you state they gave me a 30K gift? Well, even if they state they gave you a 30K gift, the 30K is not the problem. The cash you have in your bank account is not the problem. The issue is you just said you don't put money on, you don't show any income on your tax return. So the bank won't give you a loan because it needs for you need to show the bank you can pay the monthly payment. And if you're not showing the bank that you have money coming in every month from a job or a business that you own, then you won't be able to get the loan no matter how much cash you have. You must be able to show the ability to repay. So you have to show them where's your money coming in every month to make that mortgage payment. That is the issue, not having cash. Great questions. All right. Got some questions here on YouTube. Rick says, why are there a lot of realtors saying that it's not true? There is not market crash. So why are realtors saying that there is no market crash? Okay. Is the market crash now? There is no market crash right now. I'm predicting that there will be a market crash in 12 months. Again, another huge investor, Manny Kashabin, he's a huge real estate investor. He also predicts a significant real estate market crash in 12 to 24 months. Now, the reason being is that in 12 to 24 months, the stimulus package offered a forbearance to homeowners, meaning if you can't make your mortgage payment, you have 12 months to basically get everything together and for you to be able to start making your mortgage payment again. I believe it was about 20 million Americans have their mortgage in forbearance. So I'm going to say maybe 25% of them actually go into foreclosure. Let's just be conservative, say 25%. That's like 5 million homes. And even if it's just 1 million homes, that's a lot of properties hitting the market at one time, or roughly a period of that 1 year of time, which is a lot of quantity of homes, which is going to cause the price to drop dramatically, which is going to be able to give you guys an opportunity to purchase. Now, most realtors don't see what comes in the future. They only see what's happening right now. Right now, a lot of people are purchasing homes. They haven't been able to purchase homes for the last 2 or 3 months. Now they're out there able to purchase homes. Many people from up north want to sell their home and buy down in like Florida and other warm states where that has more land. Because if there's another corona outbreak, they don't want to be stuck sitting at home and in a small house or small condo or in a state. Like, for example, if you noticed, I've been able to go out and do a lot of things needed and no one's really hassled me. But in many up north states, a lot of people do not have the freedom to go outside. The government's very strict about them leaving their house. So right now, it's been a transition where people are moving out of their homes up north and moving out of their smaller homes down here into larger homes and more to gain more freedom. So that's also going to cause a lot of sales in the short term. Got Rennie over here says they need a paycheck today. Okay. Like, I guess, yeah, I mean, if you're referring to unemployed, yes, unemployed do need a paycheck today and should collect unemployment if they cannot find another job. But if you can find another job, it's smarter for you to get back to the workforce so you guys have been able to qualify for a mortgage when you're ready to buy a home. Jay Scott says speculation. Okay. Chris says, is it better to buy many cheap or medium properties or one expensive to rent it out? So I wouldn't focus on that. What's more important to focus on is the area you're buying in and the amount of your cash on cash return on the property. Because if you buy in an area where you know it's going to be gentrified, you might be buying properties in a medium price point, in a low end price point, or in the high price point. But if you know that area is going to be gaining significant growth, then the price doesn't matter. It matters is if you can tell that there's going to be significant growth in the area. If you have a good idea that, hey, there's a hospital being built and it's going to cost 500 jobs to be made in this area, so then you know that the demand for housing is going to increase, and it's probably good to buy in a good part of town right by the hospital, and you're going to have a lot of people wanting to rent from you. So, that's more important than, hey, I'm getting a fourplex for $100,000, because people will show me like links and be like, look, this fourplex $100,000. Is it a good deal? I'm like, well, that depends. Depends, is the city growing in population or decreasing? Is it income growing or is it decreasing? Because if you're in an area with the population shrinking and the income shrinking, that means eventually rents are going to go down. So if they're selling for $100,000 now, you might get stuck and have to sell that fourplex for $80,000 later. It's not really that simple, You have to be able to tell how good the area is as well. When does a pre-sale price for my course expire? It technically expires tonight, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to give one more week of sale for my course. So I'm going to keep the sale for one more week, since the course is technically releasing June 3rd at 6:30. That is when I'm going to be releasing the course. That is when everyone's going to have access to log into the course and start learning. What did you guys think of the preview video I put out today? Of it was class 1, section 1 credit. So I have a question here. It says, what part of South Florida do you expect to grow and hold value? It is not a specific part of South Florida. In each city, there's going to be pockets that are going to do better than others. So it's important for you to study your market to see which pocket's going to do better. Like I know, like I buy in downtown core areas. Like there's one city, say it's like Tarpon Springs. I don't think Tarpon Springs downtown is going to grow that much over the next 10 years. After 10 years, it should start growing. So for now, I'm buying in other cities, like in downtown Safety Harbor, and downtown Dunedin, or downtown, certain areas of downtown Clearwater, or Gulfport, or St. Pete, like certain sections. But certain downtown areas, like downtown Tarpon Springs or downtown Newport Richey, I don't think it's going to improve for maybe another, again, 10 years. So I don't want to buy now and wait 10 years and have no growth. I want to buy later. I'll give you a story. So when we moved down from New Jersey, my parents moved to an area called Spring Hill. So in Pinellas County, that's the county that has a lot of the business going on. So in that county, everyone was saying, it's fully built out. There's not much more room to grow. People are going to start building in Newport, in Pasco County, and after they fill up Pasco County, they're going to go Hernando County, which is where Spring Hill is. So that was the thought process. Well, we lived there for a couple of years, and it was very, very country and not a lot of business going on. So my parents decided to move. Well, I'm going to tell you now, it's been probably 25, 27 years since we moved to Florida, right? If you go back to Spring Hill, it is still country. It is still slow, not a lot of business. So don't think that eventually something is going to grow. Go where you know it's already growing. Are you going to pay a little bit more money? Yes. Like, don't go and buy property unless you're super wealthy, but don't go buy property next to a place where they think they're going to build a hospital. Go and buy next to an area where they already broke ground that the hospital is being built. Like, you can see they put all this money already into building it. Then you're more certain that it's gonna. You're more confident it's gonna happen because they already spent millions of dollars to break ground. So you need to invest where you know you're going to get a return on investment. That's where I say, when people say, what about crypto? Okay, do I think crypto is going to go somewhere? Is it going to do something? Is it going to be big? Yes, it will be. Do I really know which one is going to win? I kind of have an idea, but I really don't know. You don't have enough data to really say and make a sound investment on cryptocurrency, right? You can have, again, it's a rough idea. You can kind of guess, but you need to have more factors, right? So like the factors, again, you need to kind of see and be able to measure results, calculate, and then be able to produce your decision. And so my point is, don't speculate. Know exactly what you're going to get yourself into. So what's your opinion on purchasing a single family home and renting it out to others? I don't agree with renting out single family homes because normally it's not profitable. Normally, for you to become profitable, you have to do multi-unit properties, duplex, triplex, quadplex. I know some areas are very hard to find or they cost a lot of money, but you have to be persistent and consistent to look for one and try to negotiate and find one because your return on your money is going to be in the multi-units. Gad says, Of course, makes sense. Thanks for your insight. You're welcome. All right, guys. What questions do you have for me today? So back to what we were talking about earlier, and okay, my connection's not good on IG. Let's try to see if we can get that back up. So back to the question we were talking about earlier, which was how unemployment can cause the recession to last basically longer. In addition to losing jobs, a lot of businesses are going to be losing their property, and they're going to be and a lot of other businesses are going to be closing down their large offices and shrinking their offices for people to work from home. So when they start doing that, they're going to end up cutting costs on real estate. Real estate's going to end up going down, big real estate. And then eventually for people working from home, a lot of them are going to end up getting reduced salaries since they don't have to drive and they're going to work from home. They're probably going to be changing the income model for their employees. Their payment model is to a based on production. So they're going to have probably a smaller salary since they can work from home. They don't have to travel, and then they're going to have basically payments based off of performance. So the whole payment structure in the work experience is going to change dramatically over the next few years. The last thing that I think is going to happen, which I'm trying to get involved in it and try to build it out before so I can take advantage of this. What's going to happen? So right now we'll see apartment complexes, and they have these basketball courts, or they'll have tennis courts, or they'll have a gym. What I think in these big apartment complexes that 100 to say 300 apartments, I think what's going to end up happening is they're going to get rid of these basketball courts and these tennis courts and so on, and they're going to build multi-level office buildings, right? Where they have all these little offices. Now, why? Why are they going to do that? I think there's going to be a large shift to people working at home. And the people that work from home and they live in these apartments, they don't want to do work from home, right? They don't want to be bothered by cleaning the house and getting distracted by their pet or their children or their spouse. They're going to want to get away from their house. They're going to want to be able to kind of focus when they're working. So I think what's going to happen is all these apartment complexes are going to include in their rents a office space inside of their WeWork style office space. So when you rent your apartment for an extra say $200 a month, you get a cubicle, and in that cubicle you can go and do your work, and it's just maybe a separate small office where you're gonna know you can go in there and have internet and have everything you need to do your work and get everything done. So I think that is going to be the future. Apartment complexes with office spaces that you can rent as well. I think that's the new wave. Good morning. All right, guys, what questions do you have for me? When do you think prices are going to go down, and is it a good time to start buying? So if you're going to go buy a property significantly under market value, so if you're going to buy 10 to 20% under market value, then I think you'll be fine with purchasing that property. But otherwise, you should wait 12 to 24 months before purchasing. I think the market's going to go down significantly once all the foreclosures hit the market, and then I think it's going to be a good time to buy. Someone said gold. Yes, I think gold is a good purchase. I think once everything starts going down, people are going to run to gold because they're going to be scared. At the same time, if everything does get better and the inflation sets in, gold will still go up again. So in both scenarios, gold should do well. The only way that gold's really going to go down is if they start paying down the national debt, or if we reverse our deficit, where our country starts producing more than it spends. Currently, it spends more than it makes, so we're going negative every year. So our national debt gets larger. What's up, Ryman? All right. Gad says, all right, I think apartment complexes will shift towards more separated units and suburbs will start to grow. I think that's very possible too. I think they will. But at the same time, very popular areas will still be popular. And what they're going to do is just make it more green. Or if you're in a very popular area, the very green buildings and the clean buildings are going to do well. So, like, I'll give you an example. My apartment, my cottages in downtown Safety Harbor, they have their water is triple filtered before you drink it. It's double filtered and softened before it touches your skin. We have MERV 11 4-inch filters. They're very thick that pulls out mold, mildew, pollen to be able to rest, relax. Everything, basically, we try to use everything green in the property. So in addition, when people go in and out of the unit, we have the property fully cleaned, and we're investing into getting this misting technology where basically it mists the whole unit, and that mist will basically sanitize everything. So if you have those type of features and amenities that people are going to feel better, they're going to use those units other than other units. But I do agree that people are going to start wanting more space, so they're going to be moving down from up north where it's more tight into areas that are more affordable and have more open space. And since people can work from home now, they will have the ability to move to wherever they want to go. So you might see more people moving to Tennessee, where they can be towards the mountains and in the woods and having that natural experience and nature experience, and still be able to work for a large company. Working from home is going to definitely change a lot. What do I think will happen in Canada? I think the same thing that's going to happen in Canada is going to happen in the USA. So you're going to see like people starting to move out of Toronto and move into secondary and tertiary markets that have more space and have more freedoms, right? They're going to want to not go through the same thing again that they went through during this last, during the corona outbreak. So the people are not going to want to keep going through that consistently every year. I'm looking to buy an apartment. Do you think it is worth to buy it now and rent it out in 6 to 12 months from now? I think that unless you get an amazing deal, it's not worth buying anything now. I think you should wait 12 to 24 months before buying anything. I mean, ignoring everything else that went on, we historically have a recession or a retraction every 7 to 10 years. Stocks go down, real estate goes down. This is normal, right? It's been 12 years since we've had one. So basically they're saying, hey, it's like overdue. And then our debt is very high. Consumer debt, most Americans cannot cover a $400 emergency. So I definitely think that we're going to have something come up. And I believe it will happen after the election. Do you think we should start flipping houses now due to economic status? If you're going to flip a property, make sure you do it fast. You do not want to be caught with that property when the market starts going down. And if you have a thin margin, you might be too hesitant to drop the price. Like, you have to be willing to drop the price and drop the price fast to sell it and move it before you're stuck with it. Because you don't want to end up becoming a landlord because you got stuck with the property. Either you're going to have very high interest rates from getting a hard money loan, or you're going to hate doing it because you expected to flip out of the property and now you're stuck bringing a landlord. And single family homes are not very profitable as for a landlord, so you're not going to be happy with the returns you're getting. So it's, unless if you could do it quickly and you have a huge profit margin, then I think it'd be a fine idea. Otherwise, I would double check the numbers to make sure you're good. All right. So agreed. Gads is agreed. That's me moving from New York to Florida in a couple of weeks. It's nice down here. All right. So we got George. George on YouTube says, do you think for the next 10 years, the major cities like New York City, LA are going to lose their growth because people now could work from home? People love living in New York City. Growth or no growth, people move to New York City just to say they live in New York City. They live in LA to have that lifestyle. There's always going to be people who want to be in New York City and be in LA. So in the next 12 to 24 months, I think all cities are going to have a dip, and then they're all going to go back up. Do I see that LA and New York still grow? I still see them growing. Do I see that the growth might slow down a little bit? The growth might slow down. But then that really holds into play is how are we going to grow globally as a population? So even though if more people start moving out to the rural areas and suburban areas, if our population keeps growing, that still might just wipe away any, the difference might disappear, and we're still going to grow the same levels in New York and LA and everything else. But I think New York and LA do have a real problem where they do not have enough affordable housing, and their laws and their all of their rules are keeping people from building affordable housing and lots of units. Like there is a lot of places, say in New Jersey, that the cities will limit how many units you can build. So if someone wants to build, say, I just spoke with someone today, actually, if they were wanting to build 36 units in New Jersey on the property they purchased, and the city said they don't want to allow more than 24 units. So, that's obviously going to make it difficult to build affordable housing if now, instead of building 36 units, you're going to build 24 units, and those 24 units are usually going to be a little bit larger in size, and they're going to have to charge more money because the land's a fixed cost. Most of your building and construction is pretty fixed, right? If you're going to buy an AC unit, it's going to cost you, let's say, $7,000. Well, if you're building a slightly larger unit, it's going to cost you $8,000. But if you were able to build, say, 3 units instead of 2, you can spread your cost better, and you can make the rent cheaper. So affordable housing is going to be difficult if these cities are going to be very strict on their density rules, right? The cities will need to loosen their density rules to be able to make housing more affordable. I'm going to add one more thing to this and move on. So one of the properties I bought, my 7-unit in downtown Dunedin, right? The one I told you about, I bought it for $335,000. Now it's worth $1.4 million. Well, those are 7 units, and those 7 units are roughly 500 square feet apiece. Today, let's just make believe the whole property burned down. The city would only allow 4 units to be built. Well, right now, each 1 bedroom, we get about $1,000 a month. If I have to rebuild this property and I can only have 4 units, well, guess what's going to happen? Instead of me having 7 units be at $1,000 a month, bringing in $7,000, I'll have 4 units and I'll be charging $2,000 a month or $2,500 a month and bringing in $10,000. Now, for me, as an investor, it doesn't matter, right? Because I'm going to work within the rules that are given to me. And if the numbers make sense, if the profitability is there, then I'm going to take action. But if the city allowed me to produce 8 units, I would produce 8 units and rent them out. Since they're brand new and everything's new, I'd rent them out for $1,250, since it's going to cost me money to make them new and for the additional costs. So my point is this: instead of having 4 units at $2,500 a piece, I can have 8 units at $1,250 if the city allowed it. But if the city does not allow this, then I don't know how builders are going to do it, because they're handcuffed by the rules that the cities are putting out there. Now, back to the Q&A. Lucinia says, hi, Pascal. Hello. Valencia says, good evening. Someone said we should not be paying off debt this year. Any idea why? Debt-free is the way to be, no? So, I don't agree with paying off your student loans right away. I don't agree with paying off your home quickly at all. Credit card debt, yes, pay it off because you're getting no value for it. If your student loan interest rates are very low, I don't agree with paying them off fast. Just pay off the minimum, because if the interest rates are low enough, you'd be able to invest your money into something else, earn more money than you're actually being charged on the interest rate on your student debt. So it doesn't make any sense. But credit card debt is normally always 15 to say 25%. And it's not worth it. You need to pay off those credit cards so you can get yourself in a better situation. Now, yeah, I don't agree with paying off any real estate debt. I would actually say right now, since the home values are high, I would do cash out refinances and pull out your equity. Get a line of credit and pull out your equity. Because when the market tanks, the first thing that disappears is the equity in your home, the equity in your stocks that you've owned for a very long time. So in the stocks, you can probably get a dividend and so on. So it's probably still worth keeping them if they're good. But for your home loan, if you're going to be living there for another 5-10 years, I'd probably just pull the equity out and hold it, because then you can use that money to buy more real estate, to buy more stocks, to be able to invest while buying things cheap, So before, the market drops and you lose all your equity. Now, another thing is this: most people will pay off and pay down their home loan. And they're going to go and pay off your home loan, pay it down over, a number of years. And they have all this equity built up. Well, when the housing market tanks and you have all this equity, but you cannot make your mortgage payment, the bank isn't going to care that you paid down an extra $100,000 on your mortgage payment or your mortgage balance. They're going to still want the mortgage payment every month. So you could lose your house because you can't make the payments, and the bank will now get the house with all this equity in it. So be very careful on making that decision, especially if you don't have enough savings in your bank, because you don't have 11 months of reserves to cover you in case of emergency. So be conscious of that too. And your stocks should not be your 11 months of emergency savings. And a line of credit should not be 11 months of emergency savings. Actual cash in your savings account should be at least 11 months. Now, if you have some gold and silver also, you could probably use that as well as part of your reserve amount, because you can always sell the gold and silver. And when the market goes down, normally gold and silver stays up. Initially, they dip with everything else, and then they rebound. So those are options. All right. So George says, what books or what economists do recommend? What books or what economists do recommend to understand the history of real estate? Okay. So, I mean, if you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, that helps a lot. But another book by Benjamin Graham. It's another book he wrote. Give me 1 second. I'll let you know. Benjamin Graham. So there's obviously Intelligent Investor. Sorry. There's a book that was written in like 1800s, and it was written in the 1800s. It was not by Benjamin Graham. It was by someone else that Warren Buffett followed. He's like the father of modern economics, and he basically goes through like trading animals and farm, and he goes through every single point of economics and analysis to be able to come to. But you know who has a really good, who has a really good video? Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio, he's a billionaire investor. He started from nothing, and he's with Bridgewater, and he put out a 30-minute video about the economy and debt. So if you go on YouTube, you can look up Ray Dalio, and he'll find that book, that video. It will help you understand not just real estate, but the whole economic system. Okay? It's really good. He basically makes it very clear to show that the actual cash in our system is only about 3% of the liquidity in the market. The rest is debt. So if we have a small retraction in the debt, we're going to have a significant decrease in our spending. All right. So Valencia Noel says mutual funds have better rate of return. No. It depends which mutual fund you're getting, and it depends what you're looking for in a rate of return in dividend or your rate of return in growth. I mean, for me, the best rate of return I found is real estate. They have really good dividends, which is from the rent payments, and then they have very good growth. And at the same time, when you sell your real estate or make income from real estate, normally you could defer the taxes on it. So normally, like for the last 10 years, I've paid almost no taxes. Most of the time, I actually got money back. His book, Principles, are very good. Yes, so Ray Dalio has a book called Principles. It's a very good book. Andrea says, search Result Web, Result How the Economy Machine Works by Ray Dalio, YouTube, this one. Yes. So it's Ray Dalio. It says the economic machine works, or how the economic machine works. Yes, by Ray Dalio. That's it. Yes, Ray Dalio. Correct. Everybody on YouTube. Yes, that is correct. That's the video. What about unique? So on IG, I have a question. Says, what about unique markets like Hawaii? I think we're going to have a significant drop in Hawaii, mostly mainland Hawaii. So there's a lot of Airbnbs out there, and they have only been about 9% occupancy the last 2 months. Many of them have not been able to cover their expenses and are trying to recover. So they should be selling off properties pretty quickly to try to stabilize. So I think that's going to cause prices to drop. What is your thinking about short-term rentals? I have short-term rentals. Just make sure that you're making enough money to justify it. So let's just say normally, say like the rent is $1,000 for that apartment. If you're going to be doing short-term rentals, you need to be pretty consistently bringing in $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Excuse me, to justify that short-term rental. Between the extra headache, furniture, cleaning, fees, taxes, you're going to need to be able to bring in an extra. So you need to do 2 to 3 times what the rent is to be able to justify it. And you have to check what the occupancy rate is. So let's just say, this is a real quick, I know this is for people who are into short-term rentals, so trying to follow me here. So let's just say you can get $100 a night for a short-term rental for that apartment. $100 a night is $3,000 a month, where the rent normally for that apartment is $1,000 a month. So you're going to say, Pascal, look, I found this property. I can make $3,000 a month on this short-term rental. Now, in theory, that sounds great. But remember, if you can do some research, there's websites that will tell you what is the occupancy rate of that unit, which means they'll tell you 55% of the time this property is rented. So that means you're only going to be able to rent it out probably 17 days out of the month, which that means you're only going to bring in $1,700. Then from there, you're paying cleaning fees. You're still paying the cost of the rent, the rent. You're paying the electric. You're paying the water, sewer, garbage, or whatever other fees there are. You're still paying the cost for the furniture and the decor. Like I furnished a 2-bedroom unit with really nice stuff, bedding, everything, right? It cost me $8,000 for the furniture, the decor, all the utensils, everything. So as you can see here, if you're only bringing in $1,700 a month, that's not enough money, in my opinion, to be worth your time, So you need to make sure that you're bringing in enough money to make sense. So Noel says, is recession-proof real? If so, how can I identify a property that is recession-proof? So that is a hard question to say, identify a property. Normally, you want to identify an area, okay? Normally, the area that is to be more resistant to recessions is area of old money, like an area that has old money. Now, it doesn't have to be crazy expensive where you have like $5-10 million homes or even $1 million homes. You can be in a neighborhood like that has $200,000 to $500,000 homes, but there are people that have lived there for a very long time and are very consistent and have a good savings and basically like have everything even, and they're not over leveraged. The areas that are recession prone are areas that are highly leveraged and that are normally new money that they can end up having their business fail because it's new and it cannot handle an economic downturn. So that is normally the way I look at it, is where is the older money? Where is the more consistent money? That is where I like to invest in. Good question. George says, do you charge late fees? If you do, how do you structure it? The answer is yes, I do charge late fees. And in Florida, I don't charge late fees. I charge additional rent charges. Because if you have late fees, you cannot evict for the amount of your late fees. But you have additional rent charges, you can evict for that and request that amount as well. So what is an additional rent charge? An additional rent charge is very similar to a late fee, right? It's money that they owe you for not paying on time. Now, how do I structure it? Normally, I structure it is you get an extra $50 additional rent charge for not paying it by the 3rd, okay? After the 3rd, it's a $50 additional rent charge. From there, it's $5 per day to the 10th day of the month. Then after that, it is $10 per day additional rent charge. Now you would ask, why do you do it that way? The reason being is, if I have to go into the system, or if I have to have someone else go and constantly check up, did that person pay the rent? That is a lot of time and headache for us to consistently just keep checking and keep going back in. So you need to charge for the time you are spending. Now, the next point is this. We just talked about short-term rentals, right? Short-term rentals can be daily, weekly, monthly, 3 months. We are renting, when you're doing annual rentals, we're renting it out for 12-month term. So we expect the person to keep paying the money every month and really not hear much from them, maybe once a year, once every 2 years. So if you are hearing from them or needing to communicate them more often, and they're paying you the money, say like every week, well, if they wanted to rent every week, then they should have signed a weekly lease with us, not a monthly lease. And then if they sign a weekly lease, they would be paying the money of a weekly lease, the proper amount. So how I did is I staggered it in such a way that, okay, if they're going to decide to pay, in the first some of it, and on the 15th, the rest of it, well, I'm going to make sure that I'm charging them an extra, $100, $150 roughly for paying it twice a month. And if they're going to be paying 4 times in a month, like every week they're paying me, and they just decided to start paying in that fashion, okay, well then that means you're going to be paying an extra like $300 for the month in additional rent, because now we have to spend the time to keep on checking and making sure that you're paying on time and documenting the system. It becomes a big headache. When you're doing annual rentals, a lot of the big benefit is that it's passive income, that it's not a lot of work. And obviously that messes things up if you have to go and update the system every week. Jojo says, love you, man. Love you too. Thanks for all the likes, guys. Thanks for all the hearts, for sharing my account. I really appreciate that. That kind of shows like the appreciation for the stuff I'm doing for you. I really appreciate when you guys do that. So it means something. So George says, do you think such a structure would work in cities like my New York, where the laws are more tenant friendly? It could. You just have to ask a lawyer. You have to ask a lawyer. I cannot give you legal advice. It's possible. It is possible. Okay. That's what I have to say. Valencia says, how does a person invest in real estate? No money really, versus $100 a month in mutual funds for a better rate of return. I also appreciate you. Thanks, Valencia. So I'm not dissing mutual funds, right? They're a great option. You can put money, $100 a month, into a mutual fund. You could buy $100 worth of silver a month, $100 worth of gold by buying coins and things like that. You could buy shoes and flip collector shoes, or baseball cards, or comic books, or Pokemon cards. Anything you want to put your money in. I want you to understand that money is not real, and money does not grow wealth, right? It's only a liquid way to transfer money. Like, your goal isn't to have $1 million, right? $1 million will do nothing for you, and $1 million a year later is worth less. Your goal should be having financial freedom, right? You should be having $1 million worth of assets that's producing you money. So yeah, you can have $1 million in collector cards or artwork that's going to grow, that's going to skyrocket. But then again, you're going to need some money and something that's going to pay you a dividend, like, real estate. So if you need to invest into mutual funds or other assets, then you can, as you build your money to grow. Again, I invested in cards, Pokemon cards, baseball cards, comic books. I invested in stocks. I invested in silver. I had lots of silver, some gold. So I invested in those things until I grew my money enough that's how I was able to build up to the $32,000 down payment. So Hugo says, in adding landscaping to a property, increase property value? Yes, adding landscaping to a property can greatly improve the curb appeal, which can increase the property value. Now, remember, there's always a height to a price for a property in a neighborhood. So you don't ever want to overdo it, but landscaping is one of the cheaper ways to get a big bang for the value of your property. Okay, so landscaping, painting, they do significant. They'll affect the property's perception significantly, right? So I've seen people just buy a property, paint it, do landscaping, and resell it, and really do nothing significant. No kitchens, no bathrooms, no flooring. Just that's it. Landscaping and paint. And then, sell it for about $20,000 more than what they bought it for. Mura says, hi, how do you know how much are your property taxes? Well, if you go to the property tax office, if you go into property taxes, for example, like I'm in Pinellas County. So if I go to pinellscounty.com and I look at Pinellas, the taxes for that property, it will tell you what it is currently for the current value. Now, again, if you buy a property for $300,000, if the property's property tax, if the website says property value $300,000, taxes say $4,000 a year, and you buy that property for $600,000, the property taxes will go up from what the current owner is paying. because you are going to pay property taxes based off of what you pay for the property, not for what they paid for the property when they bought it 10, 15 years ago. Andrew says, that is not a constant number. It changes every now and then. Usually city decides it. Correct. King Mom says, what time is the class available to use tomorrow? So the class is going to be available on 6/3 at 6:30 p.m. 6/3 at 6:30 p.m. Everyone who purchased the class will get a link so they'll be able to access the class and start viewing the first set, class 1, which is credit. And then the next week, they'll get class 2, I think, which is taxes, and then class 3, which is funding, and then 4 is how to find and purchase a deal, and so on and so on. And every week, you're going to get the next section of videos for the class. And since it's to 6/3 when the class is going to be available, I'll be extending the sale for one more week for the discounted price. Andrea G. All right. Thanks for answering her question. All right, let's go to IG and check out the questions here. So Jay Scott says, are you moving forward with the awesome deal you found recently? The one that people told you there was a murder, but that was fake news. So Scott, right now they're having title issues with that property. So since they're having title issues, it's giving me time to analyze the market and see if anything's changing. So if I feel that the market's going to change and we're going to have a problem, I might not pull the trigger on that property. I might just let it go. So I'm being very cautious. And the next thing I'm checking is to see, does my GC and does all the other subs have the time to knock this property out fast? Because if they don't, I don't want to be caught into getting into something that I don't want to be in, right? I don't want to be stuck with this property because they're not able to come out and knock it out. All right. All right. I live in Canada and I'm learning about real estate, but a lot of the content I'm consuming is based in America. Is there any difference? So should I stay or go to the US for more success in real estate? So Canada does have its own rules, and Canada has a lot of similarities. So there is a lot of knowledge you can take from this and apply it to Canada. Again, interest rates and numbers might change, but again, at the end of the day, you make your money by buying a good property in a good area. That, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. I have a friend in England, and he basically does what I do here over there. He buys small hotels and he remodels them and rents them out. And he does very well. In the concepts that we talk about here, he's basically doing the same thing over there in England. And even though we have a different system, different interest rates, different length of terms on the loans, the concept and the percentages are very similar, where you just are changing a few numbers. But profitable property is a profitable property, no matter where you are. Is it a good time to buy a house? I don't think so. Does adding landscaping? Yes, adding landscaping does help. Does it cost more money to build a fourplex than 2 modest homes on an empty lot? It would probably cost you about the same amount of money, to be honest with you. Because again, the fourplexes are probably going to be smaller units in each unit, but then the 2 houses are probably going to be a little larger. So then the cost is going to be about the same. What are ways to pull cash equity out? Cash out refinance and home equity line of credit are the 2 major ways. Flam says, Brett, you pretty much go to your bank or any other bank and talk to someone about a HELOC. All right, going on to YouTube. All right, so Hugo says, Pascal, would you sell all of your current properties to buy a 200 to 300 unit apartment? It depends if that 200 to 300 unit apartment is in an area that's going to appreciate. So right now I'm looking at 200 to 300 unit apartments, and I'm looking to like build a team out so a group of investors can go and buy it and I'll manage it. But what I'm waiting for is a good price, and then two, is the area gonna grow, right? Everything I'm buying now is in an area where I know it's gonna grow in value. I know it's gonna go up. But a lot of these 200 to 300 unit apartments are priced at a point where it's gonna be very difficult for them to grow and make money. And then two, or they're in an area where it's not gonna grow that much. So I'm being patient. Would I do it? For the right deal? Yes. Currently, is there anything available? No, I've not found many good deals out there. All right, Maria Omara says, thank you. You're welcome. So Rick says, is the course for all levels of real estate investing? I would say that all levels will learn something from the course. There's some things are going to be a refresher and some things are going to be new information. So if you have, again, the course is about how I was able to purchase 23 units by the age of 23 and the information that I had to be able to do that. So if you want to learn that knowledge, how did I get to 23 units by 23? What financial foundation did I have? Then it's a course you want to take. Now, if you already have 50 units and you did it through flipping, you might still learn something because I did it through buying rental property and doing it the more conservative way, where I bought rental property, fixed them up. I BRRRR methoded multiple rental properties, multiple multi-units, and was able to grow that wealth over that 4-year period of time. All right. Give me a second. Power's about to go out on the laptop. So it's like record hot in Florida right now. And even if you have the AC on, you're like dying. I just thought I'd throw that out there for anybody who was interested. All right. Sharak says, how can landlords safeguard from events? For example, a guy I know who rented property in New Jersey, the tenant didn't pay rent, also urinated in cabinets, results in a huge loss to evict, repair, replace. So one, I don't think renting in New Jersey, New York, or LA is that great. Can you do it and make money? Yes. Do a lot of people do that? Yes. But are the laws in your favor? No. They're in the tenant's favor. So you can have 9 months someone stay there and not pay rent before you can evict them. Where in Florida, it takes me about 3 weeks. So, the laws on the landlord side in Florida, the property owner, where the laws in the tenant's favor in New Jersey, New York, Chicago, LA, they're more tenant friendly. What do you think are the best ways to generate property leads in the next couple of months? Well, if you just keep an eye on the MLS, a lot of deals will come up on the MLS. But again, that's going to be like 12 to 24 months. Now, if you want to find deals now in the current market, I'd probably mail letters to property owners. So Shakri says, George, for sure, all huge Manhattan buildings, nobody there to work. What? Okay. Didn't see don't know what that means. All right. So mindset over fitness. My big mistake, buying a car. $30K finance debt left. Should I pay it off 3 years? Learn as much as I can in real estate and take the credit hit of repossession before getting into real estate investing? So, okay, if you still owe $30K on the car, like what's your payment? And it depends what type of car you got, because if you're going to take the hit and get it repossessed, you're going to have to buy another car and you're going to have to make the payments. So it might not be worth it, right? Like it depends. There's a lot of factors that are involved in that, right? So I would say it might not be worth it for you to do that. So Sean says, how do you juggle all your different businesses? They are not small side hustles. So obviously, like, I have employees, and I'm not to brag, but I'm really good at what I do. And I understand finance. Like if you gave me data, I can process the data. Not because I'm a genius. I got left back in the 4th grade, right? I was not, as you can tell, many people make fun of my IG account because I like have a typo or use bad grammar or something. Mostly because I'm fast and I don't double check myself. But at the same time, my skill set is math, economics, financial analysis. I'm not in English, right? I got like a C in English and I barely got a C just to get by, just so I could move on and take my other courses in college. So, I know my stuff, right? I know insurance really well. I know credit really well. I know mortgages very well. I know everything that I'm talking about. Not only have I done it, like there's some people out there that did something else in the past and made money doing that thing and then got into real estate. And they're like, look, I'm doing real estate. And that's because it's just a hot thing in the moment. I've been doing real estate since I was 14. I've been doing construction since I was like 11. I sold mortgages at 19 years old. I did anti-money laundering with Citigroup. I did Citigroup. I did Home Depot's taxes when I worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers. So I've done it all, right? So I own my own insurance agency. Like I understand it very well. So when people come to me with problems, I have the answer because I've done it, not just as like, oh, I saw someone else do it. Like I actually did the work with my own hands. So then I became a specialist in it. And then I became any business I purchase or start, I work from the bottom all the way up. So I know every job. So if I tell someone to do something, it's not because I think, it's because I know that's what's going to be the best way. So that builds over time. Mistakes happen. You get through it. You grow through it. And you constantly, and what's been awesome is when I opened up my insurance agency, just about 3 years of not being profitable. Most businesses are 3 to 5 years not profitable. Okay. You don't make money. So that's why they're side hustles, because you're doing them on the side until they grow large enough where they can finally make money, and then you can quit your day job. So my rental income, the money I made, all the rental properties I bought from 19 to 23, those properties were feeding me money so I could live while my insurance agency was being built up and growing to eventually it go from a baby company into a large enough company now where it pays me. So now it's paying me a month and the rental income pays me a month. Because some people are like, oh, I make this much money a month. And they're talking about like the rental income. And they're talking about this or that. And I'm like, I don't mention my insurance income. I don't mention my tax income. I don't mention all this other stuff because I don't think it's really relevant to just be like, throw out a flashy number and then be like, oh, wow, that's a big number. What I want people to understand is the truth. The truth is you need to understand the market you're in and you need to study it, because if something bad happens, you need to be smart enough to know how to fix it and not go to someone else. Now, do you need help sometimes? Yes. Do I go to a mentor or do I pay for advice when there's a problem? Yes. So I can make sure I can fix it fast. But that shouldn't be 80% of the time. 80% of the time, you should have the answer. 20% of the time, you don't. So then you pay outside experts for help. But if you're paying outside experts all the time and you are not super rich, then eventually you're going to run out of money. You're not going to be profitable. So I think you guys get where I'm going at. If you're going to be doing this business, you're going to be doing any business, become very knowledgeable. So you can be an expert in the business and make money. All right. Andre says, people are just talking to each other in the comment section while you answer other questions. Cool. I like it. Valencia says, are you hiring and help employees to become business owners and or investors as well? So I do have people that work for me, and honestly, I don't pay them. I have people that come to work with me, and because again, as a mentee, I got two ways I learned this information. I worked for free for people, or I paid them for their information, or some type of exchange happened, right? So a lot of people that come to work for me that have no experience, this is different from the people that have experience. I have people that have a lot of insurance experience that come work for me, and I pay them very well. People that have no experience, what am I going to pay them for? I'm going to pay them to teach them. Like, that doesn't make sense. You pay to learn. You don't get paid to learn. That's what's so broken right now with our system. So you go to college, you spend a ton of money to learn stuff that you cannot use. Then you go to a job and they got to pay you for like 3 to 6 months to teach you because you didn't learn anything in college. So that kind of stinks. And then the other problem is what you did not realize, and I didn't think this was going to happen when I became a business owner. I'm going to say probably, if you're lucky, 20% of the people that you hire are going to end up being good, paying attention, show up on time, and work. If you're lucky, 1 out of 5 will do their job. It's crazy to me to think that if you give people opportunity to work, that they won't show up or they won't actually do the job they signed up for. So it's really sad, but it is what it is. So, I have some people that come to me as mentees. I don't pay them. They work for me, and they learn a little bit. And some of them pay for the information. Depends on what they want to learn and how much attention they want from me, right? It really is about attention. I don't have much time. So like you said, how am I running all these businesses? Well, I'm trying to give you guys as much value as possible, but again, time is very valuable. So Lisa says, I have a life insurance license and now studying for SIE. I don't know what SIE is. So having a life insurance license is nice. It doesn't matter unless you make 100 phone calls a day. If you don't make 100 phone calls a day, your license doesn't matter. If you have a real estate license and you're not calling 100 people to try to sell their house, doesn't matter. Your license doesn't really matter much. Mortgage, 100 people a day. No matter what you're doing, as a salesperson, if you're not making 100 calls a day, you will not make it. It is very hard for a person to make it in sales and not make 100 phone calls a day, unless people are just handing them business. And there is situations like, say you work for Progressive Corporate and you're in a telemarketing section, right? Yeah, you can they're going to give you 100 inbound calls a day. But because they're providing the calls, you're not calling out, they're giving you the calls. They spent a lot of money in marketing. And because of that, they're only going to give you like $15 an hour or $12 an hour, and you get small bonuses. But if you want to make big bonuses and you want to make a lot of money, you have to go to a job where you tell them, no, I don't want your salary, or I'll take a very tiny salary, but I want big money when I bring in business. I'm going to call out. And those people get paid very well. So, again, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you're a salesperson and you're not making 100 calls a day, you're basically accepting that you're not going to do well. And if you make 100 calls a day, you'll eventually get better and better, and you'll be able to make your sales. It's a numbers game. All right, let's see here. And then Persia says, if you can recruit under you and make overrides, then it's a lot easier. Yes, I will be hiring people for the mortgage company, and for those that work underneath me in the mortgage company, they will be making good money, and they will get a percentage of what they sell. So yeah, they can definitely make overrides. And then if they refer business to the insurance agency and that gets sold, they sell insurance from your referral, you get a bonus on that. So that's a great thing about what I'm doing now is that when someone comes to me, I can do their mortgage, I can do their taxes, I can do their insurance. If they're not ready to get a mortgage, I can prepare their taxes, educate them over the first year or two, make sure their taxes are in order, make sure they understand how to get their finances in order, and then to be able to get approved. Because most people, the reason they can't get investment property 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is if they ever get stuck on, say, the first 5 deals, the issue is normally they didn't prepare their taxes properly or they bought a bad deal. So, but mostly it's they didn't prepare the taxes properly. Hey, what's up, DJ? When will your YouTube live be uploaded? The YouTube live will be uploaded tomorrow morning. Yeah, this video will be uploaded tomorrow morning. Around 10 o'clock, I think. Chad says, "Hey Pascal, I'm glad you're continuing the content. Thanks, Chad. All right. So mindset over fitness says, math, finance, economics, construction is your skill set. Real estate from 14. I'm not that great with numbers like you can. I still be successful in real estate investing? Yes, you can still be successful in real estate investing if you're not great with numbers. You can have a different skill set. You can have the skill set of negotiating. I mean, you don't need to be great with okay. Most of the millionaires I know that go to my church never passed the 4th grade. They came to this country. They're illiterate. They literally can't read. They get mail. They can't read it. They give it to their children to read, or they give it to someone else to read, because it doesn't take a large IQ to be successful in business. What it takes, the hard part, is hard work, consistency, persistency. I put in 100 hours in every business I open. My insurance agency, when I opened it, I worked 130 hours a week. I slept every other day the first year I opened. It was crazy hard, but I did what was necessary to be successful. I was not going to allow myself to lose. So most people are not willing to put in 60 hours a week, right? They don't want to work more than 40, and they want to be able to then go out and, say, drink all their money and party or buy or spend whatever, all the money. So how it works, and to be successful, is you make money, you don't spend it on stuff that loses value, you invest that money in things that gain value, you consistently do that for a number of years. Eventually, all the money you spent on items that gain value, stocks, bonds, real estate, silver, gold, collectibles, you eventually will have enough so you can buy, say, a rental property to bring in cash flow. And you then spend your money to improve that property, and you consistently grow that way. Now, that's the way I did it, and it worked out really well. So that's what it's about. So what are the skills you need as a real estate investor? So my course, Foundations of Personal Finance, they basically go over the core core competencies you should have. That's the foundation for you to be successful, not just in real estate, just to be successful in your personal finances overall. Like, you understand these concepts. And once you have a firm grip of these concepts, that is what's going to be able to make you catapult to the next level. Hard work does count, right? It can bring you to another level. So Mindset says, you're the best. Thank you for your answers. Love you. Love you guys too. All right, guys, I'm going to answer a couple more questions and we'll call it a night. New York making us take SIE pre-test for Series 6, 63, and 26. Valencia, do you have a script for life insurance sales / calls? Actually, I do not. Even though I have my life insurance license, I don't really go after life insurance sales. What I do, how I do things is this. I sell home and auto insurance, which is things people have to buy. So if I'm going to make 100 phone calls in a day, because again, selling life insurance, you're going to sell 100 phone, you have to make 100 phone calls. In my mind, if I'm going to make 100 phone calls in a day, I'm probably going to talk to people about selling home insurance and auto insurance. You have to have home insurance. You have to have auto insurance, right? So I'm going to find them a better deal on what they currently are using and they have to buy. Along the way, while I'm talking to people and giving them something they need, I'm now going to uncover, if there's anything else they need. For example, life insurance. And then I will be able to get them life insurance, educate them on the needs on why they should have it, and then be able to save them money on their auto insurance and home insurance to make it more affordable to buy this life insurance. So now you're doing multiple things in one call. That's the way I kind of do things, and that's the strategy. So I don't call for life insurance. I call for the needs of a person, their home and auto, and then go and find uncover other needs. All right. Andrea says, how do you start building such a big audience? It's always hard in the beginning. That's exactly right. Because think of it this, if you have 100 followers and you grow 2%, it's only 2 followers. At 1,000 followers, when you go 2%, it's 20 followers. On 10,000, you go 2%, it's 200 followers. So what happens is it grows more and more and more and more. So what most people, their problem is they quit too soon. My friend told me about how he was doing this business. He was doing Amazon. He was doing he was selling stuff on Amazon. It was FBO. So I reviewed his business. He's like, I shut it down. I was in for about 2 years. I reviewed his business and I looked at everything that happened and I said, look, he's like, I don't know what I did wrong. And I said, you actually didn't do anything wrong. You did everything right. And everything that happened was natural to happen in a business in the beginning, the first 2 years. I said, the issue you had is you quit. Because you can see the last 2 months, the last 4 months, you're becoming more and more profitable. You worked out all the kinks, you figured it out, and you quit after 2 years, right before you were going to explode. So most people do not do it long enough. So he wasn't doing FBA, he was doing FBO. He was fulfillment outside of Amazon. It wasn't Amazon itself was not fulfilling. So Luciana says, thanks for extending the discounted price for the course. I'm getting it this week. You're welcome, guys. Feline say no. Genius. I love you. Thank you. You're welcome. So Rick says, where could I find out more about your insurance company currently shopping around? If you go to my IG page, you can actually email, and that email will go to us, and we'll be able to respond. If you click call on my IG page, it actually calls the insurance agency. We do taxes, bookkeeping, payroll, and home and auto insurance. Taxes, bookkeeping, and payroll is across the country. We would be able to help anybody. With insurance, home insurance, and auto insurance, we're only working in the state of Florida. So we're only licensed in the state of Florida right now for home and auto insurance. So if you're an investor that's buying in Florida, or you live in Florida, auto insurance or your home insurance, we'll be able to cover all of that. Yeah. So the course right now is on a discount. It's $297. Normally, it's going to be $997. It was going to go up tomorrow, but since the course isn't going to be released till June the 3rd at 6:30 p.m., I'm actually going to extend the sale for another week. I know a lot of people have been having issues with working and such, so I want to extend a discount for you guys as well. Because a lot of people have been saying they want to buy it and they just don't have it right now. So, don't worry, I'm going to be fair for you guys. I'm really, like I said, I'm only recouping the cost for my equipment that I bought, the video editing, the software, all that stuff is around $6,000 for the equipment, video editing, the 2 different software I had to buy, all the people I had to pay to help put everything together. Believe it or not, it's not cheap. So yeah. So right now it's $297. Link for the course is in the bio. Guys, thank you for all the love, for all the support. Again, I have the course Foundations of Personal Finance. It teaches you about credit, savings, tax returns, how to find and close on your first deal, and the psychology of a successful investor. What I've learned from all the investors that I've been mentored by is that they think differently, and the way my parents think is the opposite of how these investors think. And my dad keeps telling me and giving me advice, and friends and family will give me advice that is the opposite of what these investors tell me to do. And what happens is, until you fully engross yourself with these books, with the videos I'm putting out, with all this content, you're going to end up getting stuck in listening to them. So you need to fill your mind with all this good content so you know what you are doing is right and not letting anybody else distract you by the small thinking. So guys, have a blessed night. It was great seeing everybody again. I'll see you guys Wednesday at 10 p.m. God bless.